Do you realise that you've just made £200,000 in like an hour and a half? Do you know what he said to me? He said, yeah, tough gig, right? Tough crowd. Okay, welcome to another Serious About Success podcast. I hope we're all well, and thank you so much for tuning in again. Okay, look, today we are going to talk a little bit more about expectation. Okay, so when I'm talking about expectation, what do I mean? If you are really serious about achieving the success that you're saying that you want to achieve, a big part of this comes down to the level of expectation of what it is that you have for yourself. So when I'm saying level of expectation, I want you to think about the amount of money that you currently earn right here, right now, or what is your current level of your net worth. Now, the amount of money that you currently generate is all based on your level of expectation. So what I mean is that no doubt, if you think about it, when you was growing up, when you were maybe, around mum, dad, people, friends, uncles, aunties, typically they have kind of set a blueprint, in terms of, well, what is, our expectation for our family. So what I mean is that, when I was growing up, for example, my dad might have made around about, £2,000 a month, for example, or just over £2,000 a month, which for me is like, that's a good income. And I'm not saying that it isn't. But at the time it was like, okay, well, that is the expectation. So that then meant that me growing up now, my big expectation was to be earning the similar sort of amount as my dad. So when I then got to that point when I was earning that sort of income in a day job, for me, it was like, okay, well, look, yeah, I'm doing all right, ain't I? I'm doing all right. Which is fine. Like I say, I'm not knocking it. I'm not saying it's a problem. But what I am saying is that if you want to make more money, then we've got to now really enhance that level of expectation. Because then when I started getting a bit older now and I, started to think to myself, I wanted to become financially free. I wanted to, now start experiencing a whole new different level of freedom in my life. I got some mentors and started surrounding myself with different types of people, of which they was making like, £2,000 a day. So I'm making £2,000 a month. These people are making £2,000 a day. So that then meant for me, it was like, well, hang on a minute, what's going on here? But to break that expectation, that is deep rooted. Remember, you might have been living 20, 30, 40, 50 years of your life with a level of expectation that was set, by the people around you. And now all of a sudden, you want to now start making what, £20,000 a month, £30,000 a month. Well, who do you know that is generating that type of income? Have you seen that around you? And if you haven't seen it around you, that's where, it can be a little bit difficult, because somewhere within our psychology, we might have a little voice inside of us saying, well, you want to make all of this money, but well, really? Really? So our conscious minds are saying, oh yeah, you know what? I'm going to go out there and I'm going to make, £1 million a year. I'm going to make, £200,000 a month. So that's what our conscious minds might, be telling us. But remember, our conscious minds, can pretty much say anything. I wouldn't focus so much on what goes on within your conscious mind, because, I'm going to go to the moon tomorrow. I'm going to go to the moon. I'm then going to, fly to planet Mercury. I'm going to top up my suntan, right? On planet Mercury, yeah. I'm then going to cool down, on planet Mars, right? And then I'm going to come back home, and have lunch, tomorrow at midday. Anyone can say anything, but it doesn't ultimately come down to what it is that we say. It comes down to what it is that we really do. So sometimes we have challenges in this area because, deep down within us, we're saying, yeah, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But then we have an inner voice somewhere. Well, who are you really kidding? Because if we haven't grown up around it, that then means that, well, is it really possible? And if you haven't seen it, sometimes, it's not always easy to be able to obtain that level of wealth. This is why, for me, psychology is absolutely everything. And, you can, go on and buy all these different courses online, and all you got to do is just buy this thing and you can be making all of this money. Well, hang on a minute. If we haven't risen our level of expectation, then guess what? Chances are we're not going to quite get there, because you'll end up sabotaging yourselves to bring you back down to your level of expectation. So let's just say, for example, you've done a bit of extra overtime at work, or, you do a bit of a business and, it takes off and it starts making a little bit more money. Chances are that somewhere within our psychology, we end up sabotaging ourselves so that we have to spend that extra bit of money that we've just generated. We have to spend it, or it has to go. So energetically, something has to happen. So the fridge breaks down, or the car breaks down, to take away that extra little bit of money that we've made to bring us in line with our level of expectation. So this is absolutely huge. You can't make more money really consistently and really change your life in a great way from a financial point of view until we really enhance what that expectation really looks like. So other things to think about, let's just say, for example, if you're somebody that is always late, every single thing, you're always late, for example, yeah? Now, what you'll find is that, let's just now say, on this occasion here, I am going to be on time. I'm going to be on time today, right? I'm not going to be late. Well, what no doubt you will end up finding is that, where do these random temporary traffic lights come from? The traffic is not normally, at this point of the road. How come there's traffic, on the road at this time right here, right now? It's almost like as if, energetically, the universe, whatever it is that you need to, what you believe in, needs to align in accordance so that you meet your expectation, which is to be late for everything because you're always late. So how many times have we been in that sort of situation? The temporary traffic lights, different things come up to make sure that we are, struggling with the time. We're just about getting there, or we're 10 minutes late, just like how we always are. That is your level of expectation. So making sure that we fully grasp that, fully understand, in terms of, well, how do we go about increasing that level of expectation then? What do we do? Surrounding yourself with the right people is absolutely important. Because when you now start seeing that, oh, actually, this can be done. I can see it now. Not just somebody on TV, somebody that we might have seen, in a different country somewhere, some sort of movie star, or, some, billionaire business person, Jeff Bezos, yeah. That's something different. When you now start surrounding yourself with people that you can literally really connect with, people that you can speak to, people that, you can literally rub shoulders with, that's when your level of expectation can really go to a whole new different, level, because you can now see it. It's here. It's here. So I remember, with one of my mentors, I remember seeing my mentor, this is my early days, I remember seeing my mentor make as much as £200,000 in like 90 minutes. £200,000. And then he would come and sit next to me in the car. And I'm sitting there, I'm like this. Do you realize that you've just made £200,000 in like an hour and a half? Do you know what he said to me? He said, yeah, tough gig, right? Tough crowd. I'm like, tough crowd? Are you joking? Like, yeah, I was expecting a few more. A few more? You just made £200,000 in an hour and a half. He's like, yeah, I know, yeah. Well, we'll try again next month. The thing is, he was serious. I couldn't believe it. I've never seen anything like that before. So before that, me then now projecting, I'm going to make this type of income. Well, hang on a minute, I've never seen it. So because I hadn't seen it, what is the reality of being able to attract something like that if we haven't even seen it? But from where he was sitting in the car next to me so casually, saying, pretty standard. That was like, okay, well, you know what? That was exactly what it was that I needed. So that then meant that I was able to then go on and be like, well, hang on a minute, if he can do it, if he can do that, then I'm pretty sure that I can do that too. He's sitting right next to me. He's right here. So if he can do it, then no doubt I can go about doing that as well. All right. Now, remember, when it comes down to you really achieving what you want to achieve, you've got to think about things like, fear around, really raising your expectations too high. Because sometimes we might have a fear of failure. It's like, well, look, if I now try and sort of, reach too far, if I want to now start making, £100,000 a month, geez. Well, what if I don't make it? What if I fail? So somewhere within our inner self, we then, again, sabotage ourselves. This is where we can, start feeling a lot of procrastination because, well, hang on a minute, my expectation's not quite there. And if I now go for it, it seems a bit of a pipe dream. But you're not going to say this in your conscious mind, but you'll have a feeling that this is a bit of a pipe dream. So if this is a bit of a pipe dream, well, is this really going to happen? So again, you will end up sabotaging yourself so that we then do not actually even, really try that hard. So that then means that we can't then turn around and say, well, you know what, I failed. I was a failure. I really need, if you're serious about this stuff, your psychology is absolutely everything. Everything. And ensuring that, you're aware, becoming a lot more self-aware as to what is really ultimately stopping you. Because this is where some of your barriers could come from. And when I'm talking about barriers, it's like, well, yeah, well, can I really do that? So that's like a barrier. The conscious mind is, yeah, you know what? Oh, yeah, look, check me out. I'm going to start banging my chest. Yeah, I can do anything. Yeah. But the little voice inside you is like, well, really? Really? Can we really do that? Remember we're trying to rewire our mindset. We're trying to rewire our brain here. So as a part of that rewiring, remember this could be deep rooted for many, 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 many years. And now all of a sudden, we want to make all of this money. We've got this deep little inner voice that is going to create the barrier. And that barrier is, well, is that really realistic for you? Now, anyone can do anything. We've all got the same 24 hours in a day that, billionaires have, for example, but we've also got the same 24 hours in a day that, people that are not really creating much for their life. We've got the same amount of time. What you will find with successful people, they eliminate those barriers. Their expectation is, well, of course I can achieve this. Of course I can achieve that. Of course I can get around anything. Of course. Because you know what? Of course, I don't have to have that barrier there. And what you're then going to find is that you'll then, find it easier to attract the money and opportunities into your life when we don't have them psychological barriers based on our level of expectation. Okay. So I want you to really give it some thought. All right. Really think about this stuff because we're here at Serious About Success. That's what we do. We are serious about success. And now I'm not even just talking about financial success here. I'm talking about, in any aspect of your life that you want to achieve success. So, even if you wanted to, lose weight, for example, if you wanted to lose weight and start becoming a lot more healthy, well, guess what? What's the expectation of yourself and how you should look? And again, some of this can come down to your upbringing in relation to how easy it is for you to go on to, lose the weight and be healthy, or how challenging you might find it. A lot of it will always come down to your conditioning. Let's just imagine if you grew up in a household where, your family are not that bothered about what goes in their mouth. If we come from an environment where our family are pretty much overweight. Yeah. That's somewhat, if you've been overweight as a kid, for example, that's somewhat set an expectation for the rest of your life. So that then means that for you now to get into the gym, we might go into the gym on the 1st of January. Right, that's it. New year, new start, new me. I'm going for it. However, by the 1st of February, how many people have still got that same gym membership? Again, you see a massive reduction in people really attending because anyone can do something for a day. The conscious mind, yeah, I'm going for it. However, the expectation of ourselves, really then kicks in, and our habits as per who we've been for the last X amount of years, really then, shines through. Yeah. So again, these things are really, really, really important, for you to be going to achieve, whatever it is that you want to achieve in your life.
Hi, I hope you're enjoying the podcast. Don't worry, we've got lots more content left to come. This is just a quick word from me. Now, you will hear I speak a lot about things like mentorship, as well as that, surrounding yourself with the right people. Now, one of the other things, if you really want to achieve the financial success, what makes it helpful is to have things like accountability. This can be the difference between you making it and you really not really quite getting there. Now, if you're at the start of your journey, you want to maybe leave your 9-to-5 day job, or you're just in the process of starting up a business, I would like you to come and check out our website, www.seriousaboutsuccess.com. Over the years, we have coached thousands of people all around the world. We speak on BBC Radio as their go-to guy for anything related to mentorship. It's very important for you to have that helping hand along the way. So come and check out our website, sign up for our free training, and we'll show you exactly what it takes for you to succeed. Now back to the podcast.
Even when you look at lottery winners, okay, now like, as per Google, 90% of people who win the lottery go back to their same level of financial wealth within 9 years. What is that about? And I can tell you again, expectation, because we're not ready to take on board all of that level of income. Just because we've now won the lottery, that now doesn't mean that we now have a mindset of, somebody that can handle that level of wealth, that level of income. So that then means, again, the sabotage kicks in. We've got all of this money and it's like, what am I going to do with all of this money? I mean, I've even seen programs where it's like people feel so uncomfortable with all this level of income, with all this money. It's like, what are we going to do with it? Right, give it away, spend. We've got to buy the big house, got to buy the cars, we've got to buy this, we've got to buy that. And then over time, it's like, well, we're spending so much money that we end up, getting to a situation where we can't afford the upkeep of the house anymore. So the house then has to then get repossessed. We can't then continue to afford the car, the bills on the car, on this big old expensive car. So that then means that, again, we got to get rid of the car. So over a period of time, that money now just starts diminishing, all the way into we're now back to now what we are used to. We're now back to what it is that, we've seen growing up, and that makes us feel a lot more comfortable. It can do when we're now back at that level. It's like, whew, relief, whew, So the choice is yours. Really now study success, study what it really takes, study, what your level of expectation, not just that, your blueprint. What does your financial blueprint look like? So again, like, what was it like for you growing up? So like I say, your primary caregivers, your parents, what was their relationship like with money? And how has that now had an impact on you? Because, their relationship with money, say, for example, I grew up in a household where, I did hear a lot of money doesn't grow on trees. Yeah. Money doesn't grow on trees. Well, hang on a minute. What am I made of money? Money is the root of all evil. Don't forget, money doesn't buy you happiness. Money doesn't buy you love. So this was the environment of what it was I then grew up in. So that then meant that when I then became an adult, what do you think my mindset was in relation to, my expectation around attracting money? So all I was growing up thinking was, well, hang on a minute, money doesn't grow on trees, does it? What am I made of money? Or using negative associations to talk about money in terms of, look at those filthy rich people. Look at those people that are stinking rich. Now, remember that, I don't want to be deemed as stinking, right? I don't want people to think I stink. I don't want people to think I'm filthy, or I don't want to be associated with being evil because, my expectation is that people that've got money, they've got to be they've got to be evil in some way because that's what I grew up listening to. And remember, it might not now remain in my conscious mind, but deep rooted within my psychology, somewhere within my subconscious. Money is evil. Money, people have to have done something unlawful to, generate that level of wealth. So what then happens? We're back to that same situation where we sabotage. We can't not but sabotage. Because if we don't sabotage ourselves and then we then go on to start generating income, well, hang on a minute, people are going to think that I'm filthy. Again, deep down, people are going to think that I'm stinking. People are going to think I'm evil, so we can't possibly have that. So we sabotage ourselves so that we then don't end up getting that level of income, that level of wealth. And then we can't then be given that title of, being somebody that's unlawful, that's been able to accomplish, or attract all of that wealth. We don't want to be seen in that way. Obviously, these are a choice, and there is a cycle, because I'm not blaming my parents, I'm not blaming my mum, I'm not blaming anything, because what do you think she learned when she was growing up? It's all the same thing. My grandparents came over to the UK in like the 70s, when the UK was the whole Windrush. Some of you might have heard what I'm talking about. When lots of people from the Caribbean were coming over to the UK. And what do you think they were saying when they first got here? Well, money doesn't grow on trees, does it? We're lucky to be here. Money's not necessary for people like us. So sometimes we can have these chips on our shoulders that, well, hang on a minute, our money's not for, people like me because of my background, my ethnic background, my religion, my culture, like elements of that. So again, expectations, creating those barriers. So that's exactly what, my grandparents had within their mindset. And again, look, there's no blame. It just is what it is. And then obviously that's what my mum was listening to when she was growing up. So then that then meant then obviously, of course, well, what else is it that she's going to teach, us kids, because she's only going with what it is that she knows. But now that you are now learning this information, if those of you have got children, this is now an important time for you to be able to really understand what it is that I'm talking about here, so that you can then go on to break the cycle. You don't want to put the same level of expectation on your children if you want them to now flourish in this world. So, to use negative associations. I've got a 10-year-old daughter, who means the absolute world to me. And, I will refuse to say things like, oh, well, I can't afford it. I refuse to, use negative associations or, well, what am I, made of money? I refuse, because I don't want that cycle to continue. I want her mind to be free and her to recognize, well, hang on a minute, she can achieve anything that she wants. She's got a very clear understanding in terms of how much, money I might make every single month. She knows the most amount of money that we've made in a month before. She knows how much money, that we will generate from our property business. She's got a good understanding about all of that. Why? Because I'm trying to really, help grow her level of expectation, so she knows what's going to be possible for her when she gets to be an adult. Instead of like, okay, well, look, my dad made, X amount of money, £2,000 a month. Well, hang on a minute. I've seen my dad, make tens of thousands of pounds every single month. I've seen it. So as a result of seeing it and being a part of it, for her to then go on to achieve that will be a lot easier. So we have a responsibility, for those of you that are watching this, if you are a parent, we've got a responsibility to break the cycle if there is a cycle that exists. So we want to break that cycle, so that our children have a better quality of life, or not have to, work so hard to increase that level of expectation, because it's not easy. It really isn't. Remember, we're hardwired. Our experiences really do hardwire our mindset. So we're programmed. So now to take that programming out and now reprogramming it is not an easy thing. That's why, the majority of the world would not be deemed as financially successful. No doubt everybody would want some sort of financial flexibility, financial success. Everybody wants that, right? However, not everybody is able to obtain that. And again, why is that? Success breeds success, in lots of different cases. So now, you have an opportunity to really now take that on board and really fly with that, really run with it, all right? Okay, anyway, we are now pretty much at the end of the Serious About Success podcast for another day. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. And look, we are going to be going, we are going every single week, with these podcasts. As no doubt you've seen, we've got different topics on our podcasts where we interview people, where you have me just speaking on these type of topics and all sorts. So I'm hoping you get a lot of value out of these podcasts. And look, I will very much look forward to touching base with some of you. By all means, feel free to reach out to Serious About Success as and when you want to. But until the next time, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll look forward to touching base with each and every one of you very, very, very soon. Thank you very much. Goodbye.